Grief. Shochan and Shochas Twang Prakya Vadans Jabhasase Katasun Agatasunscha Nan Shochanti Panditaha. The Blessed Lord said, "You are mourning when there is no cause to lament, and yet you speak words that seem to be wise. The truly wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead." In this picture is shown Father Bhishma lying on a bed of arrows and surrounded by Krishna and his close associates and family. The statement by Lord Krishna is given to Arjuna in response to his perplexion as to the current situation of the war that is about to take place and his unwillingness to participate in them. In the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna lists a number of reasons why he wishes not to fight, and all of these reasons are very good moral and societal considerations. For example, he was saying that if I participate in this war, the elders will all be killed, and when the elders are killed, who will pass on the spiritual culture to the next generation? And when that happens, it will be impossible to stop the degradation of society, since culture will be eradicated and the moral and spiritual etiquettes and norms will be lost. And so society will gradually slide down into a very degraded state. He also mentioned things such as, on the opposing side, there are personalities such as Dronacharya and Kripacharya, all of whom were his various gurus, and he was saying, how can I fight against my gurus? How can I kill my gurus? Even Father Bhishma, who's lying here on the bed of arrows, he mentioned that he's the most respected elder in our whole dynasty. How can I fight against him? So he was expressing his unwillingness to fight because he did not want to kill anybody. So Krishna is responding by saying that even though he's speaking from such a high level of moral and compassion and insight, still, because he is not perceiving the eternal undying souls within each body, he's actually speaking foolish words, although he appears to be speaking very, very wise words. In this way, Krishna tries to rest him assured by stating that all of these beings are eternal, and they cannot be killed by any weapon, by any means. They cannot be cut or sliced or dried or heat or burnt, because the soul is eternal and is unborn and therefore can never die. And because Arjuna was speaking with a lack of this perception, he appeared to be learned, but actually he was in ignorance. So applying this in our own lives, we should not get caught up in the dualities of our situations, understanding that every situation which brings a mixture of happiness or suffering in various degrees are simply external, and they actually do not affect the soul at all. The soul is completely transcendental to every single material situation, and the soul is indeed inherently blissful and full of knowledge and illumination. And therefore, if we are able to adjust our paradigm and relate to the world from that platform, immediately we become freed from these dualities. We become freed from being intoxicated with happiness, and we become freed from being burdened with distress. So the spiritual practitioner aims to adjust themselves in such a way that they're able to relate to reality from this spiritual platform, while at the same time allowing themselves to have a human experience. Happiness and the stress, emotions, the mind, these are all part of our experience that we are currently on. It's all part of the journey that we are on. But one should never become so involved in them as to forget our ultimate identity as eternal spiritual beings, completely transcendental to all these situations. From this platform, one is able to very soberly deal with any situation that might come, and at the same time not be bewildered by them. These stressful situations are certainly very bewildering, and similarly, even a situation of happiness can be bewildering because one forgets that this world is not our home, and actually it's just a transitional phase of the soul passing through this place. This world is like a bridge, and the bridge is meant to pass through and not to build our house on and get comfortable. Similarly, the yogi lives his life in such a way where they are able to fulfill whatever responsibilities they have according to whatever decisions they have made, and at the same time be detached enough to understand that they're all simply temporary. So when one gets involved with relationships, with friends, with family, with a spouse, children, then naturally one displays affection towards them, naturally one becomes attached to them. But a sober person always understands that actually my relation to all these beings, as a father, as a husband, as a wife, as a mother, as a friend, as a son or daughter, they're all temporary, and in fact this person is not my child, this person is not my parent. They're all spiritual beings who at this point in time are embarking on their journey in this particular way, and for this time we are having this particular connection and relationship to each other. But our true relation to each other is actually one between two souls being connected to Source. And the spiritual practitioner strives to deal in every situation from that platform, and in so doing can have healthy human exchanges with one another, and then when they inevitably have to part, then they are not burdened by the intense emotional experience that will accompany that, such as losing a parent, losing a partner, losing a child, losing a friend. And knowing that it is simply the bodily connection which has dissolved, but the spiritual connection is eternal.